I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called
The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
This episode is brought to you by Hyperice, the leader in advanced warm-up and recovery technology. They have tons of innovative products, like Venom-heated wearables to help soothe sore back muscles, Normatec compression boots to speed up recovery and increase circulation, and Hypervolt massage guns to improve mobility. Loved by athletes like Naomi Osaka and Erling Haaland. Try them yourself. Get 10% off your order with the code MOVE at hyperice.com.
With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin. Anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking.
Back at it again with another shade of blue. A massive weekend for the sport of soccer in Kansas City. We are the KC Soccer Journal. My name is Cody Bradley. Full studio here with me today. Thad Bell, Robert Russert, and David Greenwald. We're in the official radio station studios today, and David is in the number 2 spot, so he's got more responsibility now. He's got to be the statistician. He's not even paying attention to me while I'm talking to him right now. You're already failing in the second seat.
How dare you?
You're the stat man. You're connected to the internet. They're not, so I need you on, David.
First of all, I can
feel
multitask.
Slighted, Thad. What about you?
I can multitask. I am both looking at statistics, I'm reading Reddit, I'm listening to you. I can do more than one thing.
And you put a baby down before you came. So well done.
Unsuccessful. I was unsuccessful.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. It was a great weekend. It was a beautiful thing in Kansas City. We shouldn't be at each other's throats this week.
It's St. Patrick's Day. Why did you choose violence?
It's all true. That's all true. I apologize.
That's very Irish.
Well, let's start off with the 9-goal thriller to open up CPKC Stadium. The weather was perfect. The sun was shining. The sky at one point looked like it was fake. It was that beautiful of a day. It looked like there was a green screen background beyond that stadium. Thad, you were there. This was a big moment for the sport, for the league, for this club, and for the next generation of players all throughout this city. I get emotional just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's a big moment, and I love one of the comments I've heard other people say is, never again will a girl growing up as a soccer player not know that there can be a stadium for them to play in, just for them. So like the 16-year-old that played yesterday set all kinds of records, like that's just going to be the standard going forward. It's in the long run, people will look back and go, oh, that stadium was little and that wasn't enough, or it was too tight, or this or that. But I get like Columbus Crew, when they first built the original MLS soccer-specific stadium, it was an erector set looking thing. It was just a piece of junk out there, but it was the most magnificent thing because a MLS team owned it and they had all the rights to it. So this is the same sort of thing. An NWSL team has their own stadium. They own the rights. They can name it. They can color it. They can do whatever they want to it. And the next one will be better, and the next one will be better. And when they build the next NWSL stadium in Kansas City in 10 years, it'll be even cooler.
10 years, huh? That's the life that you're giving CPKC Stadium?
I'm giving it the life of that's when they need to build a new stadium.
No, you really hit on it. This was always like a dream for like you, a fan of women's soccer for so long. This was always a dream, and now there is a generation of kids, especially in Kansas City, growing up with like that dream is an actual reality.
Yeah, I took my daughter to a lot of those FCKC games back in the day. She's been to, tons of Wizards sporting games, all that stuff. I would love to have been able to take her in there and just say, hey, when she was 12 years old and playing soccer.
Yeah.
And who knows what would have been different? Probably nothing, because she's still a better musician than she is a soccer player. But it's just that spot that, there will be some girl that was there yesterday in the stands that will be an NWSL player, will be a U.S. women's national team player. And it's all part of that path. And I mean, for me, I'm always more about the soccer than all the other stuff about it. But it was a big moment for women's soccer, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, I interviewed a mother and a daughter yesterday before the game, and the mother was just saying that, when I grew up playing soccer, it wasn't this way. But for my daughter, this is going to be the norm. That's a game changer for sure. But, yesterday, Thad, the excitement was kind of like almost overwhelming, from the fans to the people running the game to everything. Some things didn't go as well as planned, I'm sure. But, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day. They won. It was an exciting game. It was just a very memorable, wonderful, terrific event.
11 years ago was the very first NWSL game. FCKC versus Portland at Shawnee Mission District Football Stadium.
Yeah, Vladko was reflecting all the different types of stadiums that he coached in over the years.
Yeah.
That was definitely something that was talked about for sure.
I mean, they went from a high school football stadium. They played at Swope. And I have a soft spot in my heart for Swope, but, I mean, it's not a stadium. It's not where you would expect to go watch a professional team play. And then to have a purposeful built women's stadium is very cool.
And at the time, it was actually a good place to play at Swope, because they loved the grass and all that stuff. It wasn't like the nicest stadium, but they liked it playing there.
Yeah, the pitch is nice.
It was good in all that respect. It is amazing how because they played at the school, they played at UMKC, they played at Swope, and all these different things. But they have their own place to train. They have their own lockers. It's all their own stuff, and it's just amazing that it's that way. Because I used to go to training when FCKC would be training, and I would go out there and they would be changing in cars, or like they'd just be going and standing in front of a bleacher and changing clothes, and I'd be like, okay, I'm turning around now. And they just have everything that they should have as a professional player.
Do you think the league scheduled Portland to be the team to open the stadium on purpose?
Yes.
Yeah. They have a history with Portland, between the history of the team, the league, big matches. So it was perfect, and it was a good game.
And that's why it was at noon, right? They were trying to get the kickoff game national broadcast before the college basketball games were on, all that. So that is why it was at noon, because they were the first game and trying to highlight this. And
I assume so. It was on ABC, so it was on the big network and all that.
Imagine how cool that must have been for the 85ers, as they're calling them. The women's national team of 1985 was there. Man, that's such a cool thing. And that journey that they've been on, and to see that, it's all so cool.
Yeah, I got to talk to the commissioner of NWSL at halftime, and one thing that she shared was, not only the Longs doing what they've done here in Kansas City, but they have been very aggressive in sharing best practices with other owners and other cities who are looking to add NWSL teams to the market. And they're really just hoping that this is not the first and only. It's still one of many.
Yeah, I think you'll see over the next few years there will be a little wave of teams building their own stadiums or getting their own stadiums in some way, shape, or form. And I think you'll see that wave, and then you'll see a little bit of span, and then you'll see like the second wave come, which will be the really nicer stadiums. Again, they need to keep growing attendance and revenue and all that stuff, but I think they will.
Thad, you said earlier you like talking about the soccer most of the time, so let's actually talk about that. 5-4 was a really good game. After the way last season went, we had all those high expectations, and it didn't turn out that way. It seemed to be kind of a mess over there about getting things on the right track. And all of a sudden, right off the bat, Vlatko comes in, and this team beats, one of the best teams in the league, was a high-scoring thing, and you got to worry about the 4 goals there. But are you giving Vlatko credit for this?
As much as I like Vlatko and I want to give Vlatko credit, I'm always trying to play level and all that stuff you give me a hard time about sometimes. I think it was a good performance. I think Vlatko will have them playing really good soccer. But I think it's just way too early to tell, because did they score 5 goals because of hype, the excitement,
Right.
all that stuff? Vanessa DiBernardo getting the first goal in that stadium was nobody's pick, really, except maybe her own. So I don't know. I don't want to say Vlatko has it figured out, because I know he's going to go back and give them a hard time for giving up 4 goals. And with some players out, all this other stuff. But I think it's just excitement. But, of course, it was excitement on both sides, because, Portland wanted to be the spoilers in that game, too. And they have a lot of talent. Sophia Smith.
You
Becky.
can only contain Sophia Smith for so long.
Yeah.
And how old is Christine Sinclair now? I was like, whoa, she's still playing? Okay.
Yeah, she's there, but, man, she's good.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Smith plays with just a swagger. She plays like she knows she is so much better than everyone else. That second goal she scored, that was just like, I'm going to score right now.
Right, yeah.
And she did.
Wish she would have done that in Australia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. It feels like you can just look and see that she is just better than most of this league.
I haven't been to a whole lot of, current games or KCFC games, but my original impression was that I had in my mind was, okay, the level of play is, it's okay. It's fun to watch. But yesterday, the level of play was so much higher than
Absolutely.
I had previously seen before. So that was what I came away with on the field, just impressed with the level of play as far as ability, skill, explosiveness, and things like that.
Toughness.
Yeah.
And all of that came from a lot of youngsters on the field, Thad.
It did. Vlatko was asked many times before the game about, we're going to go with veterans, or how are you going to handle all the stress, the pressure, all that stuff. And he's like, yeah, I'm just going to play who I think will go get me the game. And he started two rookies, and a third rookie came in at halftime. 2 of those 3 rookies got goals. The other one played really well. Draft pick coming out of college, Ellie Wheeler, started at outside back. She got a goal. Alex Pfeiffer came in at halftime. That girl has that same Sophia Smith swagger.
Yeah.
And there's like certain players that I've seen like up close when I'm shooting and stuff, and I'm like, okay, that player is going to be good, right?
Mhm.
So like one of them was Christian Pulisic. Okay.
Eye.
One of them was Weston McKennie. And you can say like I saw him on TV, but like when you see him in person, you see just that determination of things they do. One of them was Sophia Smith, and one of them is Alex Pfeiffer.
Okay.
She's 16. I don't know that she's, I can't promise she's going to be a superstar or national team scoring goals, but if I was going to put money on it, I would.
Bia scored a goal.
She did.
Shout out to my fellow Brazilian.
Dabinha set up a goal even though she didn't get credit for it.
Do you think she can lobby like Benny used to like, that's my assist. Give me that assist.
No, it did have a little bit of a deflection, but by the rules.
Didn't they give an assist last week on the goal Sporting scored when it got deflected?
They did. Are you asking for consistency in scoring? We might want that in referees.
Across leagues even?
Yeah,
Come
that's
on.
across different leagues. That's not fair.
I'm just saying,
David,
give my Brazilians the credit they deserve.
If you get to shout out the Brazilian, I get to shout out
No
Stein.
bias here.
I get to shout out Stein, the Great Dane redhead that got to come in.
I was actually expecting her to start, so I'm not sure what happened there. But
Yeah, I used your prediction there in my predictions for the Stumptown footy, and she did not start, but she got on there.
This was really hard to like try to do predictions.
Yeah.
And honestly, I didn't give you what I thought was going to happen for sure, because I did think that Claire Hutton was going to start. But it also sounds ridiculous to think that an 18-year-old is going to start at the D mid spot on the big national game. So
Against that team.
Yeah, again, she had mistakes and she didn't do everything perfectly yesterday. But for 18 starting in that environment, I thought she did really, really well.
Robert, what did you think of the stadium? You were second row of a very packed press box, weren't you?
Yeah, ended up going to the outside portion of the press box because couldn't see the entire field from where it was at. But it's a nice stadium for what it is, and I don't mean to say what it is to degrade it. It's just the first of its kind. So it's not going to have the amenities that Children's Mercy Park has or an Arrowhead or something like that. Obviously, it's very open. What I really love about it the most is the location. I mean, you got the bridge right there.
Yeah.
You've got a nice view of downtown on the other opposite corner. The Missouri is probably the most ugly river I've ever seen in my life. when some green stuff starts growing around there, it's going to look a little better. But no, I really like the feel of the stadium. You can walk all the way around it, which is nice. And, they got some nice clubs down below on the lower level. And, yeah.
Thad, the guy
Thumbs
from
up.
the suburbs, just made a face, just gave like a little quick stink face over there on the corner on his own whenever you said you love the location of the stadium. Surprised the man from Lee Summit, the suburbs guy, doesn't like the downtown stadium.
Hold on. Again, I don't know why you're so aggressive with everybody today. Aren't you from Lee Summit?
I'm from Lee Summit.
So you're from the suburbs too?
And I live in Kansas City now.
He's an enlightened suburban.
And I like the downtown stadium.
Okay.
It's the guy from the suburbs like, oh, I got to drive in there. Where am I going to park?
Robert from the suburbs?
Yes.
Yep.
I'm shaming all of you.
I live in the suburbs. I'm not from the suburbs.
Okay.
He's from the Lou.
I'm
get
from
David
the
started.
boonies, man. I'm from out where there's 4 people per square mile.
Hey,
at
me
best.
too. Nice.
So the burbs is like almost downtown city for me.
Thad, I took offense earlier, briefly, when you said that about a new stadium opening maybe in 10 years. But now that we've talked about it, I think you're kind of spot on there. This should spark other stadiums being built. And in a decade, yes, I think we will look back and be like, okay, yeah, good start. That was great. Let's do it right this time or do it bigger this time. So, yeah, it's not to nitpick on the stadium, but were there any annoyances there? I feel like everything was pretty cramped.
Oh, it was tight.
Tight.
Yeah. And again, I went into this experience expecting there to be a ton of issues, like little problems here and there. And I will give them a ton of credit that there were issues, but it was a really much smaller list than I expected. But just to get down to shoot a game, it was a little convoluted. It was really super crowded. There was cables everywhere. And you can't shoot from the other end, at least at this time, because they say it's too tight. There's no room down there to shoot. So this is like the first stadium I've ever been. I can't shoot from any place but one end.
That's interesting. I did see that picture of, I guess maybe it was Sperry, showed how close the fans are.
Yeah.
The blue crew is. They're on the field.
I know. I'm literally sitting at the same level as fans behind me, and they were so close that I could reach back and take nachos off of a person's plate. And this is not exaggeration. This is not like it's kind of close.
Yeah, blue crew, be warned there.
I did jokingly say that I was going to take nachos from the one guy behind me, and he kind of laughed and then looked at me like, yeah, you better not do. But I could. I mean, it was that close. And they're pulling cables through there. At one time I had to stand up and people are pulling stuff through, and I look back and my stool is gone because it got drugged by cable 30 feet down. It's just really tight. But part of it will be great for fans because they are really close. They're right on the field. It's that kind of experience is great for them. It just makes a lot of the other stuff much harder to manage.
David, this weekend cemented the idea of the soccer capital again, right? This was a big win for the soccer capital of America.
Is it really up for debate? Because, I mean, you can define soccer capital in a lot of different ways, but we have, even though Children's Mercy Park is now a decade old, still one of the nicest stadiums in the league. We have first stadium designed specifically for women. We have an indoor team. I mean, we have more teams than most other cities do. There's a level of success that we've had, generally speaking. Fans showed up.
I also think there's value there to this being a symbol that Kansas City was pushing this whole thing forward. So more so than just like, hey, we have all 3 teams. It's Kansas City is a hub of this. They're pushing the women's game forward. It's a monument to the progress of the league.
And even down through other levels, multiple MPSL teams, UPSL teams, WPSL teams, and the largest youth soccer league in the country. So I know it's a lot of from around the Midwest, but teams come from Omaha and Springfield and Wichita and St. Louis. and Des Moines and all these places down here to play in the biggest and best youth soccer league, at least in the region. I'm not going to say it's the best everywhere, but it's the biggest, and it has a lot of quality in it.
That locker room looks so cool.
It does.
Although they didn't appear to be entirely ready. I'm assuming there's a big series of tables coming for the middle of that room. The picture that they put out, they added the lights. The lights looked really cool. It was all that. And there was just kind of a sad folding table, a small folding table in the middle of this massive room.
Well, that's kind of emblematic of kind of the stadium, because in the press room, you know how Sporting has that big desk that, the players or beaters sit at when you interview them. It was just 2 tables, up there up front. So
on a 6-inch high platform that they built during the game.
Did they really?
See, I think things like that are coming still.
Right.
Again, there's a lot of issues that they had that I think will be resolved and smoothed out. And those are things I expected. Even some people got their permanent credentials yesterday. Some got temporary ones. I got a temporary one. Kind of pissed me off. Jeff, Danny, I expected better from you guys.
I did too. But you're bigger than I am.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was a little personal. But apparently, ESPN decided the day before they were going to send 100 more people, and they were rushing. So that might have been just an excuse. But there was just all these little things people oh, go this way, and then the next person down there say, no, you can't go that way. Well, how am I supposed to get across that hallway right there unless I go across that hallway? Things like that. So it was they'll get that smoothed out. I'll know to push some of those questions and get those things when Sporting opened, when Children's Mercy Park opened. It took 5 games for me to find out how to get from the field to the press box or to the press conference room without being arrested by some security guy.
Now, there's no place to actually eat the food, but the food for the media was pretty good.
It looked good. I didn't actually have any.
Pretty good spread, yeah.
So I have a question about the locker room. So, they have that TV, right? Sporting has one too, but in Sporting's locker room, there's always music playing, right? Does the Current have the same setup where somebody post game can get an aux and whoever races to get to the thing? Because that's always one of the fun parts about a post game at Children's Mercy is saying did Pulido win the race to the aux cable? And you're gonna hear Bad Bunny and some fun stuff.
It's not a winning the race there. There's a hierarchy in the locker room of who gets to pick music.
No, I've asked, and they said it's if Johnny or Daniel can get there first, they're playing their stuff.
Oh, that's changed.
If Alan can get there first, you're getting very
I feel
different music.
Low gets first call on the aux, right?
I don't know.
She gets first call on almost everything. But to answer the question, we have no clue because we're not getting in that locker room in any way, shape, or form.
Fair enough.
So after Thad's vicious attack on our friends at the team, Danny and everyone over there, I do just want to say congratulations. It was a beautiful day. And I know that was a lot of hard work. So big day for the Current. Congrats on the win. Congrats on the stadium.
I did congratulate Jeff and Danny yesterday, both about that. Vlaco on the win, all that type of stuff. So they did, again, a great job in getting to the point they're at. Still have some work to do, but they did a great job. And they probably won't have anybody turning off lights in mid-presser next time.
We'll be right back.
I'm Alex Rodriguez.
And I'm Jason Kelly.
From Bloomberg, this is The Deal. Each week, you'll hear us in conversation with business icons.
This show will explore deal-making across sports, media, and entertainment.
That is a harsh lesson in business.
Sports is not as simple as bringing a bunch of big names together.
I didn't want to do another stomp you out speech.
It opened up so many more doors.
The show is called
The Deal.
Listen to The Deal.
Listen to The Deal on Spotify.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
All right, Sporting Kansas City. Defensive form continues. Flashes of the offense heating up. Pulido finally got a goal, and we scored off a corner kick, David.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Oh, my God. What a game. 2-1 over San Jose Earthquakes.
Did that shake you up?
Gave me tremors. Good tremors.
You're going to have to read David's recap of this game for every single dad joke and pun of an earthquake or ground shaking that you can imagine.
That's why he called this one like early. He was researching for like several days dad jokes that
No, they just came to me. The mood just struck as I was writing.
Thad, you did the doubleheader on Saturday. What did you think of the Sporting KC win?
Man, it just capped off a good day. I mean, I was tired, but yeah, good day.
That is a long day, covering 2 games.
Yeah, I actually wish they had been closer. I drove from the Current out to Sporting, and you're not supposed to go in the stadium until like 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I got there at like 5, and I texted, and they're like, yeah, you're not really supposed to be in. So I'm like sitting out in the parking lot trying to half stay awake, half nap. And so anyway, it was a good game. You get the win. It's not perfect, but it's a result. It's the first win of the season, and they are far ahead of where they were last year at this time.
Robert, they still can't properly put a game away. Both of the goals, we can talk about how beautiful those goals were, but both of those goals kind of came in the first half, early on in the first half. And it was one of those games, you just knew it. The second half starts, and it's like they're going to stick around and score a goal in the 82nd minute.
So you were sitting there thinking, oh my God, it's coming.
I said this. I had people at my house watching this game. I said that exact sentence, except I lied. I said the 83rd minute, they're going to score a goal. And they scored that goal, and it was like 81-50 when they scored that. I was
the
like
handball and offside
I was like 10
goal.
seconds off from getting it right. But yes,
Right.
Thankfully they called that back. Yeah, what's going on there? We still can't put a game away. The offense looked better, but then the second half, things kind of cooled off, Robert.
Yeah, Sporting, just the system that they play is a little bit of it's a lot of hard work is what it is for these guys. They put up a stat that Sporting had the 5 top guys of distance covered in the game, and that's not necessarily a good thing.
Sporting fit, baby.
Yeah, right. So the system that we play involves so much work by the wide players, to defend, to attack, and by the end of the game, I think it was Tommy that just fell down on the pitch and just was exhausted.
Yeah.
But we need to find a way to put goals in the back of the net to get that insurance goal and kind of, make it easier on the fans, make it easier on the players.
San Jose has had a truly horrible start to the season, and they were really committed to trying to at least get a draw out of this game. And I think part of our lack of control starting around the 65th minute or so was due to the formation San Jose was playing. They functionally were playing a 4-2-4. I mean, they were really bypassing the midfield a fair amount, and they were pushing their wingers up high. They were playing 2 forwards up top. And so late in the game, I mean, they are really, really, really pushing to try and find that equalizer. And so, and once Johnny Russell went out with an injury, I don't think we did a very good job of holding up the ball, controlling the ball, trying to get any sort of pace and rhythm back into the game.
But you would think with Remy Voltaire being in that second half that wouldn't happen. We would be able to hold the ball a little more and control in that way with Voltaire.
First game back from injury.
Yeah.
Only coming in as a sub for 45. I don't know that he was in the rhythm of the game.
So how do you think Rodriguez played compared to Voltaire as far as that kind of tactical thing went?
I mean, we scored our goals when Memo was in the game.
Right, yeah, and I think we had more of an impetus going forward, a little bit more of a passing ability. We didn't have Fontas playing at left back tonight, didn't have that insightful passing from Voloder, so that was part of that as well, I think, too. And Memo is just everywhere, and he plays a good ball and strikes a good ball, too.
Hey, Danny Rosero started that beautiful team goal with a line-breaking pass, so
right,
he's got that, too.
Yeah. And a lot of players have it. It's just how often they use it or how often they get to use it.
And he was forced into it without Fontas there.
Yeah, and Robbie does some good passing. I want to say he had one really good switch last night.
He did, yeah.
Because I remember him lining up for it, and I'm watching it, and I was like, okay, it was almost perfect whoever he was going to.
And like Robbie always is, he has very good moments and very bad moments. And I think it was right at the start of the second half. I don't know if maybe Melia called him off, and then it was on Melia, like he wasn't entirely ready. But, he just ducked and let the ball go over his head, and they almost scored 2 seconds into the second half.
That was horrifying.
Yeah. Well, Melia was Melia. He made some nice saves that kept us in the game for sure.
No, the one he made on that point blank shot. I mean, the guy was right outside the 6-yard box, and at point blank range, rockets one, and Timmy saved it. He's a beast.
Vermees got the win on the score sheet, but Luchi Gonzalez with that cardigan. I don't know. Both coaches in this game were pretty daring with their outfits. We saw a new suit for Vermees, a little more color. This was very interesting. I've never seen this from Vermees.
There was a lot going on with Vermees, though. He had the pattern on the jacket, and then he had this collared shirt that had a pattern on it, too, that didn't exactly fit. So
and he had the sweater underneath it.
Exactly.
The vest underneath it. And I actually like the vest under a suit jacket look.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sold on the specific colors of combinations that he used on that jacket, but I appreciate the effort. A little more daring from Vermees. Well done. Luchi Gonzalez, though, the other end of the field, had this it was a cardigan that looked like it weighed 30 pounds. Like it was massive and fluffy. Like it looked like it was weighing him down.
Well, when you're 0-3, I mean, that's probably fitting, right?
My favorite part about Lucci is after in stoppage time, one of the San Jose assistants got a yellow card. And then Lucci was asking the fourth official why. And he got caught on a hot mic basically saying, like, why the fuck did you book him? I mean, you could hear it plain as day.
Why would the cardigan be fitting for this game?
It wasn't like super hot outside. And
it seemed really nice out.
I mean, I still hate Lucci from when he was with Dallas. Because he was a big part of why Dallas is so big into the dark arts and like diving and time wasting and all that. So, I mean, I've always hated Lucci. I don't particularly like giving him credit for anything.
No, I give it. I will probably never agree with you more than that statement right there.
Back to the defense. We talked about Voloder a little bit. How about the outside backs? Leibold had a really good game.
Are you surprised?
No. He was kind of a talking point the last one. They were picking on him in the first half, and then he kind of grew into the game. And yeah, I think he's settling in, and he looked really good.
A lot of players just need some run of some games and some time. But
he had a tough matchup. Christian Espinosa is very good.
I know,
that was a tough matchup.
That's what I mean.
I mean, I think he had his moments for sure. Did you guys catch that he was on the ground late in the game and kicked that guy as he was going by after he was called for a foul? But he had his moments in the game, but he had a couple of giveaways as well and a couple of slack in his marking. But yeah, I mean, I feel pretty confident about our outside backs overall. And, Robbie stepped in and did an admirable job, except for, a few here or there.
For the record, Leibold didn't kick him. He hip checked him right in the head as he was running by. Major difference there. Jake Davis continuing to play good as well, David.
He's a stud. I think the biggest difference this year is that Jake's offense has taken a step forward, and I think is starting to catch up. Last year was all about, recoveries and marking and any sort of offensive combination play we could get was kind of a cherry on top. And this year, I think, he's shown the ability to hit some diagonal switches, his combinations with Johnny Russell, that 1-2 he played that led to the second goal was really nice. And so I think Jake's starting to take that next step to becoming a really complete player. But for his age and for playing this position for, a year? Less than a year at this point? I mean, it's very impressive.
One thing I wanted to note that we didn't get to was that Castellanos, I think a couple weeks ago we had the talk about who's the third center back, and we all kind of thought it was Castellanos. He was fully healthy, right? This was just Vermees picking Voloder, perhaps on the matchup.
Yeah,
left-footed.
Yeah, I think it's just he's more left side.
Right.
I would still think Castellanos is the third center back, but when it's the left side, I think he just went with Voloder, and then maybe that matchup.
Back to Jake Davis a little bit. On that goal that we scored, there was a moment where Jake was like, okay, I'm not quite sure where I should be right here. But he just hang right there in that spot, and Johnny, had that combination with him. But, yeah, Jake, he is limited in his abilities that he has to go forward. He's not Graham Zusi. I mean, the announcer said, he could be a Graham Zusi-type legend one day. And I'm like, no, he doesn't have the skills that Graham Zusi had. But he has definitely improved on the ball and his aggressiveness going forward and his confidence going forward.
Well, maybe he doesn't have that 35-yard stunner
He doesn't have the touch. He doesn't have the strike that Graham had.
If Jake Davis does that little 1-2 with Johnny Russell every game, give me that. He'll be a club legend. Give me that every game. They did it multiple times. It's really a wonderful thing.
They're working well together.
Yes, it's beautiful in that corner.
But in all fairness, though, Zusi came in as a winger and kind of a creative midfielder, and then got converted back to right back.
But he always had those. A player, you watch a player play and you're like, he's got it. Zusi always had
You're forgetting Zusi was a midfielder originally. He moved up to...
Right. But he was a creative midfielder, moved up to the wing, kind of played back and forth there, and then got moved back to right back as his skills kind of diminished. Jake was a destroyer, right? He was like the truest 8 that we had, and then, he was baby Roger, and then got converted to right back. I don't know that Jake can't develop those skills. He's 22 years old and is this is his first real run of consistent play time. But
that's a good point.
What I liked seeing from Jake, so often our fullbacks do an overlap, right? That our wingers will cut in and the fullbacks make an overlapping run to the outside. On the goal that we scored last night, Jake made an underlapping run.
That happens pretty often. I don't think it's often that he makes that much of an overlap.
Our default for the outside backs is overlapping runs, not underlapping runs.
On the left side, I agree. On the right side, I don't agree.
Well, no, because both Shallowy and Johnny are functionally inverted wingers because they both want to cut in on their dominant foot.
Right, but I'll bet you whatever you want to bet that happens a lot more on the left side than does the right.
That Leibold makes underlapping or overlapping?
No, overlapping compared to how many Davis makes on the right.
Yeah.
I think David is right in the fact of that's the way Sporting plays most. But I think you're not wrong, Robert, in that it's different because of the way Davis is. So I think it's less so on the right side than the left side just because of who those guys are. So I mean, if it was never Jake put back there because of the injuries, I think you would still see your right backs being much more overlapping than Jake is. I think you're both right, just not quite.
But see, I like that from Jake though, because it gives him more dimension to his game, right? That if he can make an overlapping run and whip in a good cross, that's great. But if he's also able to make an underlap and combine and is more comfortable playing centrally because that's how he came up as a midfielder, that gives Sporting a lot more options in terms of creativity.
Well, what he needs to develop is his confidence doing those type of things and his decision making. Once he gets those two things, then the skills will come because it'll feel much more natural and confident for him. But I still think he's limited on his ability. He's not Graham Zusi.
He's not Graham Zusi. He's a different player. So, But that doesn't mean he can't be a Sporting legend someday. It's just that he'll be a different Sporting legend than Graham Zusi.
But when I say that, I mean he doesn't have the ability on the ball that Graham Zusi has.
Not the same ability.
Yeah.
I think Jake makes 22 under 22 this year.
Probably.
I would like to see him take more shots when he has that chance, when he does the underlap instead of the overlap, is now he's in a position that he could take a shot, and now that makes him more dangerous, which will open up other opportunities for other people.
Man, how good did that second goal feel going in? They got a second goal quickly. Alan Pulido got the goal. After watching the offense, and we had all these questions in the first few games, it felt so good that they finally got over the hump on that one.
Well, not only that, but that's the first time we were trailing all season, right? And our response, 7 minutes between the two goals, something like that?
Right. Even my roommate, who's a bit of I'm not going to call him a soccer hater. He's a casual fan, but he often will, when he does sit and watch a game, he's nitpicking. He's like, oh, get up. He finds things to complain about. That goal got him out of the seat. That was objectively, you don't need to be a soccer fan to see that was the beautiful game on full display.
Well, the most beautiful part of it for me was Russell's ball. I mean, the way he just kind of flicked it and perfect in the middle there for Pulido. That was the most beautiful part for me.
That ball was spinning heavily and Pulido was just on it. He made that look easier than it is. Yeah. It still should have been put home, but that was very precise the way he put that exactly where he needed to.
So it was about the appropriate amount of XG, then, you think?
Well, no, because I think it should have, if you're in the box, in the 6-yard box, and the keeper's not in front of you, I think that that's more than a 50-50 chance. And yeah, we were talking about that before the show. We think that that one opportunity for him seemed to go in there as a 0.46 in the expected goals.
Now over to David to explain the two different types of XG.
It was 0.36?
It's 0.36. And so
I know that the 0.36 was Rosero's header, I thought.
No, 0.36 was Pulido's shot pre-shot because there's all.
Okay, come on. I feel like there's going to be a lot of listeners that are with me on this. The striker gets the ball directly in the 6-yard box.
He wasn't in the 6-yard box. He was just in front of the penalty spot.
But is that not like
it should
essentially a sitter, and that adds 0.36 to your expected goals?
It should be. And
statistically, no.
XG's calculated differently by different sites and sources, but they look at where you are, how many defenders are in front of you, where's the goalie.
So 0. The answer to that was 0, 0, 0, 0. There was no one in front of him.
Right. I think it's interesting that they counted it so low pre-shot. Then there's post-shot expected goal, which is once the ball has left the player's foot, what do we expect it to go in? And that was a 0.77. And I think that's pretty fair because it was a volley.
Okay.
Like you said, Pulido made that look a hell of a lot easier than it was. But that's the strike you get from a true DP striker who has like real skill and class, because I'm not sure that Dwyer could have finished that on a volley.
Well, it would have been on his head.
Fair enough. But the whole sequence, to talk about the whole sequence, though, was beautiful. Rosero had that line-breaking pass, but then it was how quickly the team played. There was a lot of quick movements, quick passing. Daniel had a beautiful turn, was able to unload the ball. Johnny and Jake with very quick, decisive passing. And I think one of the things that when our offense stagnates, it's a lot of passing around back and forth, and there's not enough one-touch passing, not enough kind of decisive or incisive movements.
Right.
They're almost too comfortable just going in that semicircle around the back. And this is an example of peak Vermees system. And I think the team would score more goals if they were just moving the ball faster.
And where was Daniel when he received that ball too?
Central.
Yeah.
So we talked about the offense. We covered the defense as well. Danny Rosero is leading the goal-scoring race for defenders, as predicted by most of the team. And so, that was kind of the worry. The defense has been looking good. Offense looked a little better, maybe signs that it's heating up and getting into the trend of things. And the midfield, I would say, is staunchly good enough.
Mid.
The midfield is mids. Well done, Thad. You Gen Zer over here.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Radaya. He's solid in there. His first couple of games were not the best version of him, but the last 3, he's been strong. It's like you don't notice him, but when he's on the ball, he's decisive. He's quick with it, and he's reliable.
Tommy was mostly fine. Not one of his best games, but he wasn't a detriment to the team. I thought Memo played pretty well. I think Remy was the weak link of the midfield, of the players who played in the midfield last night. I think Remy had the worst game.
Okay, that's fair, but I want to go back to Tommy a little bit. If you're attacking midfielder, if the best you can say about him is that he's not a detriment to the team, then that is poor.
That's a negative.
That spot of the field specifically should be the other way. And to have that right there and all we're getting out of it is like, hey, he's not actively hurting the team this week. That's where my eyes go in the midfield of where we're lacking.
Yeah, it was a tough game with San Jose pressing so hard and keeping so much of the possession, especially late in the second half. There wasn't a whole lot for Tommy to do other than try and defend and then be kind of a creative outlet. But once we subbed in a Frifa, Agata, we were dumping the ball into the channels for those guys to run on.
And Tommy did.
More than Tommy.
Like we said, he ran, he was like ran the furthest of anyone on the field. He was closing people down there at the end to try to shut the game out. So he did well, but
even though we had more possession overall in the game, I don't know that we,
by a very slight margin.
Yeah.
I don't know that we had enough possession for Tommy to like be that creative spark in the same way. And then as we were playing on the break, he wasn't the outlet.
I know. Again, I don't want to be the Eric Tommy hater because I have a lot of love for him and the way he plays. But man, I am excited for that summer transfer window Argentinian midfielder that we're going to bring in to.
You think it'll be a 10?
Do you really think that's going to happen?
It'll probably
A guy can dream, Robert, right?
It'll probably be a left back.
We're going to sign a Slovenian goalkeeper.
We're going to get a third really good left back. Oh, my God, I would lose my mind if we had that happen.
It would be almost worth it just to see that happen.
No, it wouldn't.
So back to Tommy for just a second, though. This may not have been his best game this year, but not every player has their best game every game, right? And what did we look at these first 4 games? I mean, do you think he's been playing like the 10 that we can use and work with to be a good team, or is he not? Don't look at just one game. Look at the overall body of work so far. I don't know. I don't necessarily think I have the best answer for that right at the moment, but the team has not lost.
Staunchly good enough. I gave it right at the intro to this part of the show. Like that's what I would say. It's good enough right now. But there are times where I do feel like he is killing some big moments and things like that, Robert.
Yeah, I think the thing with him is he had the ball a lot and he was good on the ball when he had it, but he didn't get much done when he was on the ball.
It's like, okay, that was fine. He didn't like do something bad, but like that's where you need your killer. That's where you need your maestro to make something happen, and it's not there.
But then when Memo was on the ball, he was doing things that were a little more creative, a little more forward thinking, and he wasn't playing around with the ball a whole lot. He was just playing it off to the right spot.
And again, I think Memo was pretty decent, but also not spectacular. No,
right.
I don't think anybody really this year has been spectacular. I mean, the defense has been pretty good, not give up a lot of goals overall, but has anybody really been spectacular yet? I think the team keeps improving. So, like, pieces are getting together. Vermees always says you got to wait till 10 games to see what you really have. And I think I don't want to say proven right, but we still don't know what this team is going to look like.
Who has been the best? Amelia?
Jake.
Fontas? Jake, maybe? Yeah.
But going back to what David said earlier, that San Jose was playing the 4-2-4, when you had Memo and Tommy at those dual 8s, whatever you want to call them, they were more like dual 10s playing, really. They were both very much attacking because they had a lot of space in that midfield to play with. But then when Remy came in, it was more of a Tommy more at the 10 and, Remy more at the defensive 8, if you will.
It's dueling 8/10s. Like they're definitely both.
But there was definitely a difference between Tommy and Memo and Tommy and Voltaire.
Can we talk for a minute about how Christian Espinoza didn't get a red card for spiking Memo?
Yeah, man. I don't know what that was.
I've watched Roger Espinoza get sent out of many games for very similar tackles.
It's in the blood.
He didn't. Yeah, that's right. The brothers Espinoza. But that wasn't even. He didn't get called for a foul.
I know.
Well, what about Voloder losing his shoe, getting stomped on there?
That was at least a card.
Yeah.
David, you kind of had a nightmare scenario. We were talking last week about the lack of depth in the midfield and what the hell would happen if Remy's out for a while and Memo goes down. And he did. He went down there for a minute. It looked like he was in a lot of pain. Was able to stick it out, but there was a scary moment there. Like, oh, crap, now we're down to Felipe in the midfield.
Right. Well, I mean, Remy was on the bench.
Right.
But,
I didn't understand that at the moment, but yes, that's exactly right.
Well, when I first started the recap, like I pre-write the intro of like, beautiful Saturday, Sporting Kansas City's hosting, whatever. And I didn't realize when because I didn't pay enough attention when the lineups came out that Remy was on the bench. And so I had in there that like they were going to be playing without Fontas and Remy because they were both out with injury. And that would have been the nightmare scenario. And that's not to be disrespectful to Felipe in any way. It just highlights a lack of depth that if, we got a couple guys who are a little dinged up right now in the midfield and, we've got Nemanja and Tommy and Felipe are the only guys who probably aren't nursing injuries.
Peter just switches to a 5-2-3.
I would hate that.
I would too, but, it was a bad joke.
Final thoughts on this game, gentlemen, before we move on to a Galaxy preview?
3 points, baby. Still undefeated.
Undefeated. It felt good. Getting that goal called back felt fortunate because I didn't see the handball originally. And it's one of those, it came off of Rosero.
It was an offside.
Okay.
Officially, it was an offside, but it was also a handball.
It was.
Yeah.
My takeaway from that game was in the first 20 minutes, it felt like, oh, hell yes, it's all clicking. Everyone was worried for no reason in the first 3 games. And then as we kept going, they didn't get a third goal, and they kept sticking around. I was like, okay, we're definitely still the same team. But undefeated, got the first 3 points. I'm feeling good.
How great was it that VAR made a decision, like, quickly? The goal went in, they called him over. He was like, oh, yep, done. And, I mean, that's how it's supposed to work.
He pointed.
Yeah.
The replacement referee did not make the proper signal after this happened. He did the box, and then pointed to the center circle, which is an indicator of a goal.
Circle, though.
He pointed in it because I had the same confusion watching on TV. He pointed in a way that I thought was like, how is that a goal?
I guess we can't see exactly where he's
toward our end.
Oh, okay. Well, so see the broadcast. I'm watching on TV. The broadcast you can't see exactly, but it's like it looked to me like he was just we're continuing. Like he was gesturing towards the center circle.
Because sometimes they'll indicate handball, like they'll pat their arm, or sometimes like they'll put their hand up to say like this was an offside.
That's what
it's one of the two. He didn't do either one. He did point, and watching on TV, you couldn't see the direction he was pointing. You just see him point, and you're like, hold on.
These stupid refs.
I know. Well, he wasn't the worst one of them, though. So
he's been one of the better ones.
Let's not get in a referee discussion again.
Oh man, that's.
I'm telling you, we need to just schedule in 3 minutes every week for it, just because it's gonna happen.
And I mean, I haven't really got to see a lot of highlights from yesterday from around MLS, but I just saw some of the comments from other people, and it looked like there were some really bad decisions out there.
All right, quick break, and we're gonna talk about the Galaxy.
Why take one vacation with the family when you could take all of them? With Royal Caribbean, you don't just go to the beach. You visit a private island and race down the tallest water slide in North America. You don't just go for a road trip. You ATV and zip line through the jungle. You don't just go somewhere new. You rappel down waterfalls and discover ancient temples. Because this isn't just any vacation. This is all the vacations. Come seek the Royal Caribbean. Ships Registry, Bahamas.
It's only a kick, a jump, a block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle, a run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
All right. Ricky Puig and the LA Galaxy are coming up this weekend. David, level with SKC on the table.
1 win, 3 draws, no losses.
I saw a bit of the highlights of the St. Louis game. They had kind of a crazy game against St. Louis with an own goal and a 96th minute equalizer and red cards. And
yeah, they scored a whole lot at the end. There was a kind of a furious. They started fast too. I think LA scored within minutes, like within the first 10 minutes or so.
St. Louis always seems to do that. Just stick around long enough, get lucky, get an own goal in the 88th minute. Screw those guys.
Yeah, I hate them so much. LA scores a lot, 9 goals in 4 games, but they also have shipped 7.
Okay.
So there's hope that we can score. And they'll be without a starting center back. Martin Caceres got sent off with a red card.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, but we may be out without Johnny Russell as well.
Why?
Which we did not talk about, did we? Russell leaving the game early with a hamstring. It seemed to be pretty precautionary, but it's a possibility that he may miss the match.
And being he's old and, has become a little bit injury prone, maybe he stays out longer even if it is minor.
Right, exactly. But, I tell you what, I watched a fair amount of that game last night, the LA Galaxy St. Louis game, and that Paintstil guy, jeez.
He's
that guy
nice.
is fast. They play directly to him, and he cuts in, and it is over. So that's a propensity that teams have had against Sporting. I guess they're picking on Leibold and Shalaway because teams are always attacking our left side in these first 4 games. So that's where Paintstil that's where he operates. So look for them to use that strategy once again, I believe, come next Saturday night.
Yeah, that'll be really interesting. Our defense has looked good, and now they're facing 2 very lethal players. So are we going to have Fontas back for this?
Unknown,
because again we record on Sunday, early show of the week, but we'll get that information at some point.
Yeah, I'd say it's 50-50 because I think he was not that far off of being able to at least be on the bench.
I don't know that Voloder turned in an amazing performance necessarily that you can be like, all right, let's wait another week for Fontas.
But he's mobile. Yeah, certainly more than Fontas, and he's going to need it against Paintstil.
He did have a speedy recovery on one of those to cut down, prevent a shot last night too. I do, yeah.
I don't know. The way Voloder is capable of a really loud mistake with Ricky Puig running around on the field and Paintstil, how good he's looked. Man, any half mistake those guys are going to capitalize on.
I think Ricky Puig is super overrated.
Yeah, that's fair.
Super
But
overrated.
he's a good player.
He's
I think
fine.
he is
Yeah,
overrated.
He's good, but the league touts him as like
I know,
one of the best midfielders in the league.
do.
And you're like,
They
it's
do.
because he played for Barca and he's still relatively young. He's not geriatric like some of the guys from Miami, but like I don't think he's that good.
When he is motivated, he's very good.
I don't think he's that good. He's fine. Like he's
That's how
not,
you know David's serious about something. He whispers it.
he's not bad, but like he has not lived up to the hype.
Well, if you're on the Galaxy, you're not going to be super motivated, but they're a better team now. They're a different team than they have been the last couple of years.
The Galaxy, perpetually 7th place. Always in my head, the Galaxy. You get excited. They sign some new players. Awesome, exciting. 7th place.
It used to be just the opposite, man. They would always be good. Or if they weren't good in the first half of the season, they would bring in 2 or 3 guys in the summer window.
But that's why it's fun to enjoy this now because, yes, they did used to always be.
They used to be my second favorite team.
The Galaxy?
Yeah.
Why?
Landon Donovan, Robbie Keane. Come on. David Beckham.
I also don't like Landon Donovan.
That's your problem. That's your problem.
Well, I mean, 1, because he played for the Galaxy. And 2, I mean, he's just.
You're not going to break out Landy cakes, are you?
I don't know what that means, but
Landy cakes?
maybe that's
is that a pet name?
Landon Donovan before.
Landon Donovan pet name. Okay.
No, that was a term of derision towards him for being soft and not willing to go to play in Europe when he should have, according to many people.
Sounds like what his mom would call
he
him.
He did play in Europe and couldn't hack it.
Well, he went to Everton and hacked it pretty well when he was at Everton on a spell.
He had cameos there.
He came out and said he didn't like playing in Europe.
And that's okay.
I don't know why he wouldn't like playing in Europe other than maybe he wasn't the star. There's been times I've been really critical of him, but when it comes down to it,
He did a lot for MLS and the national team.
Yeah. Long term, he was one of the most, if not the most talented players out of American soccer.
Take him
That
over
didn't mean I
Dempsey
always
anyway.
liked him. I didn't mean I rooted for him because I wasn't going to root for some guy from LA. That's for damn sure.
Speaking of one of the most talented players in American soccer,
Jake Davis.
We interviewed the newest Sporting KC Legends inductee, Benny Feilhaber. So I'm going to post that as well on Monday for you, but I'll play a little clip of that because none of you actually listen to the interviews that we post. So I'm going to tease it here. No, not you guys. I'm saying the listeners.
Okay, you looked at us, and I'm like, I was on that interview.
Yes, you guys will listen to it, but our podcasts get infinitely more listens than these interviews that we put out. So
Does that mean we're more popular than the people we interview?
I guess.
I don't know that we're actually popular.
It seems so backwards to me, like that you guys would want to just listen to us talk about it, but if we talk about it with Benny Feilhaber or one of the players, listens go way down. So I'm teasing it. I'll play a little bit here for you to play us out for the episode, and I hope you do go listen to the full conversation. We went way longer than we said we were going to talk to with Benny. It's always good with him.
Benny likes us.
He does.
Before you play this, are you about to play a clip to troll me? Like, am I going to throw my headphones across the room? Is that what you've got queued up?
God, I hope so.
I don't know. I might play that clip where you had to sit and listen to Benny Feilhaber, a Brazilian, a man for whom you have immense respect. You had to sit and listen to him explain unequivocally and in excruciating detail that Lionel Andres Messi is indeed the greatest soccer player of all time. And I might choose that clip or I might choose one of the many other clips, but you'll never know. You're going to have to listen.
He's the best player of all time, in my opinion. So I think you do have to try and utilize. What is that? Is he not the best player of all time?
I was hoping you would be on my as a Brazilian.
Yes.
I was hoping you would say Pelé.
It is not,
because to me, it is always and forever Pelé.
That's the problem with people that think that it doesn't matter if God himself comes down and starts playing soccer. People are going to be like, no, Pelé is the best. Where sure, I didn't watch Pelé live, so I can't talk about that. But I've seen videos of him. I've seen what he could do, and no one other than Maradona has ever looked like Messi. Messi does stuff. He's an alien. He looks like an alien in his peak. Go look at his highlights from 2010 to 2013 in Barcelona. No one in the history of the game has ever played the game like he has. It's not. I don't even think it's close personally. But anyways, going back, I think you have to. I think you have to, the league has to utilize as much as they can of what Messi is and Messi mania as much as they can to promote the league and get more people watching the game. And I mean, I think the good thing is that Miami is actually doing well, because it would be a shame if they bring Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Jordi Alba, and then they're losing, right? Because then it's very quick to lose its whatever, the flavor, right? The that they're trying to provide. So, but yeah, I think it is what it is. I think sometimes it's a little bit overboard, but it's expected at this point.
That is the greatest moment of this show's history for me, where David had to sit and listen to a Brazilian say Messi is the greatest player of all time, and he does not get a follow-up on that. Thad, go to the next question.
We're gonna edit that out. We gotta edit that out.
Oh man, yeah, that's a lot of fun watching David be so upset.
Benny, I don't know if you realize how heartbroken I am in this moment.
Has just been sent off. Supporters strong have all gone soft. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking. Give me beer or whiskey, wine or gin, anything to shake this mood I'm in. My football team's got me drinking. My football team's got me drinking.